Welcome to Studio DBA. This is the Hunter Men's Hall's recording and podcast studio. And our dream or our vision is to be able to interview every musician who comes through here. During Booker Fest, it was hard to get people because we were set changing and stuff like that. But our hope is to sort of get some backstory on musicians. You might have heard me say yesterday that I feel like music is sort of this divine grace that helps us overcome darkness. And I also just admire musicians so much because they spend so much time practicing to just come out and give us like an hour of joy. And I don't think anybody understands what goes into it. And I think a lot of people also think celebrities just get paid so much money and their life is so easy. And they don't understand really all the hard work that goes into being a working musician. So I'm really interested in how your perspective, River, as a 15-year-old, and I'm interested in your dad's perspective of, he came up, this was his business. You grew up in it. So I want to kind of see what your feelings are. Like, when did you start, Jake? When did you get involved in playing music?
I started, like Rivers, I think I started playing piano when I was about 3, taking piano lessons.
Wow.
Loosely. And I didn't excel like River did. But, and then a quick, paraphrase timeline. Played the drums in the school band, and so I was a drummer. I remember driving my parents crazy, just practicing the snare. I don't know how you practice the snare drum, but just. And then I started playing, so I tinkered around with all that, and then got a guitar. Maybe 12 or 13 years old, maybe a little younger, can't remember. And that was it. I was off to the races, and and then came up like everybody else, having a band in the garage, and
did you see yourself as a professional musician, someone who would make a living doing it?
That's what I always wanted. I kind of just went for it. I never really thought about it, and went through, studied music, went to college, studied music, and ended up out in L.A. for a little bit doing the music thing, session work and studio work more than anything, and then joined the Dirty Dozen brass band for better part of a decade, and traveling around the world like constantly. My wife can tell you more about that than me.
I bet.
And then River came and the Suspects. And that was 16, 17 years ago that started. So you're talking about a timeline of 30 some odd years doing it.
Yeah.
And River came into it. A little history about our family. My great-grandparents were vaudeville musicians, professional vaudeville musicians. Goldie Breen.
Were they Jewish?
She was Jewish, half Jewish.
Okay.
She was converted Jewish. She was not Jewish by blood.
I go with that.
And Bart, her husband, was Jewish. So we don't have any Jewish in our blood per se, but she was converted. There was Judaism on that side of it. So anyway, and then my grandmother was the organ player in church. My mom was always around it, but my grandmother traveled around with them.
Oh, wow.
So there was a very kind of gypsy lifestyle in a way early years of, before that was a thing of like hitting the road,
for a woman especially.
And so my grandmother came up very unconventionally. She played, my mom played, but not professionally. She was always playing piano and so on and so forth. And we were just always around it. You know?
Well, I know that River's swimming in it since birth, right? So it wasn't unusual that he was showing this proclivity at 3 years old, piano, etc., right?
Yeah. He can kind of, I'll give you the little timeline of that. He started, I would show him things on the piano because I can play the piano like an amateur. And, Lean on Me, I think that was the first one. And he started taking piano from a woman at school, a proper piano teacher. She was Eastern European, Miss Lana dear. She was very strict. And she would make River hold his hands a certain way. And, but she always said, he excels quickly at whatever. I just want you to know,
Okay.
So you took it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, right.
Okay, great. We'd like to hear it.
Yeah.
He was mildly frightened of her because of her.
Yeah.
She was instilling that classical thing, that proper technique,
right.
All that. She moved, and we ended up working with a woman named Connie Bro, who also taught like Nicholas Payton and different people. She was African American. She is an African American gospel church but professionally trained. I think she has a master's in music as well. And she taught River classical as well, but kind of gospel stuff at the same time.
Well, that's necessary.
She had a stroke.
For the music you love.
She had a stroke, so River moved on to another like proper classical teacher. And this is all in a very early age, you know. And she was the one that said, you know, he needs to play, everything he plays kind of gravitates towards this jazz blues thing. Pandemic was going on, and River started studying New Orleans piano because he wasn't at school, and he did all that on his own. That wasn't taught by anybody.
Wow.
And to condense the story, Michael Polera, who runs NOCA, worked under Alice Marsalis for the years, heard River at the Jazz and Heritage School, which is a school that you auditioned for, run by the Jazz and Heritage Foundation. And he asked if he said, "Would River want to come over to my place?" And he teaches him straight ahead jazz. So there's all these different influences coming in. But most importantly, it was River's. He plays piano constantly.
Yeah.
You know, I went at like 8 hours a day. You know, every day.
Well, and you know, I mean, obviously, to perfect something, it's practice, 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 and you know that. But I mean, the fact that you want to is amazing. I know that your influences, you said Booker, Dr. John, Professor Longhair, or Alan Toussaint. But what is it that, you know, you're 15 years old, okay? So obviously you have a life that's music. You have a family that provides that environment. Your neighborhood provides that environment. But what's it like to be a 15-year-old around friends who don't like the same music as you or try to turn you on to their music? That's quite different.
Yeah, it's very different, and it's interesting because they don't listen to that music, period.
Yeah,
like at all.
Yeah.
They'll hear it during Mardi Gras time, and they'll be familiar with it, right?
Right.
Because it's still all over the place.
Yeah.
But they don't understand what it is. Not like I do, because I guess there's so much different music today than there was, I guess, than when my dad was growing up, and they listen to pop music,
right.
And I think there is aspects of New Orleans music they listen to, like a lot of bounce rap.
Right.
It's very popular in New
Yeah.
Orleans, but you know what, I can't really like just tell them what it is because they don't want to listen, you know.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking,
they're just my friends.
You're playing with, you know, people in their 80s and people in their 70s and 60s, you know, and younger. And so it's just like those are the people that you can actually speak about your passion to. And I was just wondering, you know, I'm a little dismayed when we started the hall 7 years ago. I really wanted to do music classes because so much of that was available to my son when he was young in New Orleans. And most of the parents here said, I'd rather see my kid with a ball in their hand than an instrument. And they just broke my heart because I think it's music education is important for many reasons, just to understand it a little bit better. And then to discover talent if you have it. I mean, not everybody has a dad who has a band, you know, who you grew up with, or you grew up in a neighborhood where all of these, you know, when I lived in New Orleans, James Singleton lived across the street from me. John Rankin lived behind me. Evan Christopher was my son's godfather. I mean, you know, it's like I was just you're immersed in it. And so I don't know, think about that for later, maybe a later interview about what you would tell kids your age about why it's important to sort of feel this music. Maybe not know it or understand it, but just feel it. So can you tell me a little bit about growing up with your dad being on stage all the time and what that was like for you?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to take it all the way back to being in the womb. I was definitely hearing the sounds of the Dirty Dozen, being backstage, and they'd be on stage with like guys like Dr. John and Alan Toussaint. And flash forward to my really young years when I was about 2 and 3 and 4, there was one time where I was backstage and the Dozen was playing. Do you remember where? With Mac?
It was actually in Dauphin Island.
Yeah. And so they were playing with Mac, Dr. John, and they're announcing him to go on the stage, and I'm a little kid running around backstage in the grass, right? And so they're like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. John, the Night Tripper," and he's about to walk up the steps to the stage, and I'm sitting on the steps, in the middle of the steps. And he says, "Everybody wait," right? and he says, "What's your name?" And he looks at me, and I go, I'm like a stubborn little kid, right? "River." and he picks me up. He's like, "Well, River, it's darn glad to meet. I'm darn glad to meet you." And he sets me aside and walks on stage and did the show. And I think that was the only time I really got to meet Mac, and before he passed. But now that I look back on that memory, I really cherish that as just a great memory.
And he probably passed some of those vibes on to you.
You never know with Mac.
Right?
Yeah.
A very spiritual person. Yeah. I mean, I feel that about the hall. I don't know if you felt that last night when you were playing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you feel that energy coming in. And there's something sort of supernatural about it, and I love that about this place. And so another part was having like the tin shed that musicians could come here, maybe get a respite from their crazy life, but also kind of join in on that energy, you know. But tell me some more about like what your plans are. Like your dad's touring, you're touring, y'all sometimes tour together, or okay, so how does that all work out in the planning?
Yeah, so
what planning?
No, we plan. It's a lot of planning.
Okay.
You know, it's cool. Like a lot of times, like with Booker Fest, they'll get my band and the Suspects on the bill or something. And actually, we went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming earlier in the summer, and they wanted me solo and the Suspects. They wouldn't take one or the other. They just wanted both.
Oh, wow. Good. Awesome.
And so it's cool that and then I can sit in with Suspects, or like in Jackson Hole, I had Eddie, the drummer, and Chris, the bass player, come play a couple songs with me as a trio. And but when we're touring like during the school season, like kind of right now, it can get a little tough because I have to miss classes and stuff.
So you do go to school?
Yeah, I go to NOCA, New Orleans Center for Creative Arts.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and so obviously they're flexible with your schedule, or
they're flexible. You know, I mean, the NOCA is very supportive. They've been through this before.
Yeah.
So it's a very quiet thing.
Yes.
Let me say that. And,
sure.
And they're very supportive.
Okay.
And that would be my best way to put it. And they understand why River's at school there.
Right.
And they're there to nurture art,
right,
and make sure they get an education in the process.
Sure.
But even this, 2 weeks ago was the first week, and we were in Park City at the Park City Song Summit for 4 days, and River was playing with all these Marcus King and
Eric Krasno,
and Dwayne Betts and all these great. So you can't, the hardest part for mom and dad is like, okay, can we deprive him of there's an opportunity cost for everything, right? So you're not going to be at school, but you can't pass up on this if this is what you love doing. So, and everybody, the best way I can put it is it takes a village, and Mike Polera said that to me one day, who's been River's kind of mentor as far as this, and he was also the same guy that taught John Batiste and taught Shorty, and so he's seeing it, and he's very quiet and supportive, quietly steers things, and he said, this is going to take a village, and that's what it is. And everybody, you see that with everybody,
sure,
from the musicians to the managers to
mom
to grandma to everybody. So it's.
I mean, I'm just wondering about you psychologically, because to be around such like sort of powerful feelings and then have to go back into like a school setting.
It's a common conversation.
Because Jonathan Boogie Long was here amazing talent, right? And he said that his parents emancipated him when he was 14 years old so he could travel with a reggae band. I forgot the name of the guy that he traveled with, but oh my God, and he was quick to say, as he told me, that it's not bad parenting. They just knew what I wanted to do. And I was like, yeah, amazing. Yeah. As a parent, I don't think I could do that, but, wow. I mean, you're lucky that you have a musician father so that you could, collaborate on this, and he understands your passion. So what's in the future? What's coming up? Anything interesting? Of course, everything's interesting.
Yeah.
What's the most interesting?
Let's see. The most interesting. Yeah, we're almost done with my first studio album.
Ah, fantastic!
And that will probably be released in early spring of 2026.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that includes collaborations with like Ivan Neville and George Porter Jr. and many more.
Wow.
I've got a lot more shows coming up. I'll be at the NOLA Funk Fest.
I heard about that.
With my band, Irma Thomas, and then this mashup band called the Mississippi River Revival. And that will be my dad will be there, and Stanton Moore, Big Sam, Jennifer Hartswick, Luther Dickinson, so many more. And then there's some stuff that I can't release to the public yet. That'll be really exciting. That we'll have coming out hopefully soon. And
great.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so what, like, when you're close your eyes and you're envisioning where you want to be when you're 20. Okay? 20. Where do you see yourself?
Wow.
Like stadium, like, do you see yourself? I mean, like, look at John, how he blew up, John Batiste, and he still retains, this is what I love, that kind of youthful enthusiasm and joy.
Yeah.
And the music industry will try to leech it out of you. So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, probably in college. I think I want to go study film scoring in college, writing music for movies.
Excuse us.
And I still want to keep performing as much as I can, but what I really want to start getting into is writing music and arranging movie scores.
Wow. That's amazing. That is amazing. Have you ever done anything like that? What is your
loosely, loosely. I mean, I do a lot of arranging, and River just kind of he does all the horn arrangements for his stuff. He does, and he had his first opportunity. He did some film scoring for a documentary film about New Orleans, and that was River's first entry, access into it, and that was cool. And so I think, as far as academics go, he's very interested in that, which is cool.
Great.
You know, because I think that's a tricky question for us, because do you go to school and talk about playing music, right? And it's and he already experiences that, and every one of River's teachers is wonderful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, talking about music is like dancing about architecture.
No,
right?
well, listen, I'm a writer, and there was a certain point where, should I go on to get an MFA to write? And all of my writing mentors said, you want to write? You write, But it just depends on what you want. Like, film scoring is a specific thing. Yeah. So you could learn that. Playing music, you're going to get better. I think you're already getting your education in spades. I mean, you will be an adult and look back on this time of your life where, you have the talent, but you're swimming in it, in all of that, you're soaking that up. So you've been on stage with some incredible talent, including your dad, so you're already getting your education, but there's more to learn in different areas, certainly. And film scoring sounds very fantastic. Yeah. I like that idea, and so do you see yourself always with a band, or what, what about your solo career, or what do you see?
I mean, I see myself like I do today, doing this solo piano stuff. Like I started the set yesterday, solo piano, kind of incorporating all those aspects, the solo piano, New Orleans piano solo tradition with the New Orleans funk and R&B. Yeah. And then also my original stuff, where that tends to be solo or with a band in the future. But I think throughout my whole life I'll be both solo and with a band.
Okay, so both. Yeah. All right. Jake, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Sleeping. I just hope we're thankful every day.
Yeah.
We get to play music together. Nowadays we're like traveling as a family together, which is wild.
That's
great. If you all saw like the hotel room scene, it was just pretty hilarious. Like when we're coming in or we're waking up.
Yeah.
And often we're like all in one room. As he's getting older, we're like, okay, we're gonna have to add a second.
Yeah, right. So it's gonna get a little more expensive.
Well, but and it's fun. And if I'm gonna keep rolling. I don't, I want to live now and think about what's happening now.
Yeah.
And not, because believe me, we have plenty of preoccupation with what's going to happen or what has happened.
Right.
And I'd like to say, I hope it goes like this, but I'm going to make the best of it now and try to really be real, and keep things humble and keep things great. And in 5 years, hopefully, we're able to share music with more people and keep these things alive.
Well, absolutely.
Places like Hunter Men Hall and where we grew up in New Orleans, the Maple Leaf and James Booker. And as you met John Parsons, our neighbor, and the different your neighbor here. It's a community. The more time you spend in this niche of the music world, the smaller it gets. And you'll know it. We've met, right? And you've met Jonathan and everybody, right?
Right.
And hopefully we can keep this thriving. And in 5 years, what I hope to see is that it actually builds more things. People like River can inject young energy in this.
Absolutely. That's what I'm hoping, that people see him, if it happens to be on TV, whatever it is, and they go, here's this young guy playing this incredible music. They may not know where it came from.
Right.
They may not have ever listened to Booker or Dr. John.
But they are when they realize it.
Right. They're going to be watching
and
you.
And that's, I think, in 5 years, if we can keep injecting that and keep actively in the now doing that, I believe that'll show itself in 5 years in a positive way.
Great. Well, let me just ask you this. My father was Cuban, so we're Sephardic Jews.
We love Cubans.
And so, do you have any hopes to either one of you or both of y'all to travel someplace to sort of soak up some different?
It's funny you ask.
Okay. Because I've been thinking like the Hall should have like a Cuba trip.
Yes.
They do.
Yeah.
And we were just with them.
Okay.
River, you want to take that?
Yeah.
We were just with Cubans.
But we have an immense interest in traveling to Cuba.
Yes.
And kind of doing a musical exchange there.
Yes. Please do.
And when we were in Park City, there just happened to be this Cuban band of kids from like 15 to 21.
What? Oh my God.
Called Prima
Lina.
Yeah. Where was it?
It's first line.
Primera Linea, I think.
Yeah.
And it was really amazing. I got to sit down with them for like 30 minutes and see very briefly I heard them playing, they got to hear me play, and we played together for a second, but we could just automatically hear the similarities in our music between whether it was the brass band to New Orleans piano stuff to all their stuff they got going down. But I really like to go down to Havana or whatever.
You should. It's like the Hall where the energy is there.
Yeah.
I went when I turned 40. I went because I was born 2 months before. 2 months after Castro came in victorious to Havana. So my family had to get out. And I was born in Miami, of course. And I went back for my 40th birthday, and I still have family there, but I was so just in love with Cuba, and I thought, what if my life would have been here? But my father met a New Orleanian and married her, and now I realize why my father fell so much in love with New Orleans, because it looks like New Orleans. But when I was there, I was sitting at this bar, and this Swedish guy leans over to me and he says, "These Cubans with music, they're like dolphins are to water." And it was true. It's like on every corner there was some kid just playing, beatbox, playing something, and it was incredible music.
Yeah, we've heard from our friends that have gone down there, like there's a guy named Bill Taylor who was associated with Tipitina's way back in the day. He was the one that brought the Cuban group to this festival, and he has interest in bringing River down because they've kind of married or attempted Trombone Shorty Foundation has that's who this is through the brass band kids and the kids in Cuba, but they haven't. They say, okay, wait, the pianists, and River found the other pianist that was there playing Montuno music, and everybody you talk to, Big Chief Juan Pardo, who we have another group with, who River has, he's the big chief of the Golden Comanche Mardi Gras Indian tribe. He goes down, so they've merged those worlds.
Great.
But everybody I talk to, especially those that are native New Orleanians, are like, there's an uncanny, unspoken similarity to these places that you can't really put into words, but you feel like you're back home.
Well, there's a guy who writes for Tulane. I can't think of his name right now. Neil something. Anyway, he wrote a lot about the Cuban influence on New Orleans music and how strong it is and how people don't understand, I mean, outside of the music world, don't understand how much of an influence it was. But certainly that's the music I grew up with, and it's the music that sings to me. I love it. So I hope you get to do that, and particularly with those young kids. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
They can play, too.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, how great to do a collaboration with people his age.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't hang around 80-year-olds and 70-year-olds your whole life.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Anything that I've missed that you'd like to say?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this, and thanks, all of y'all, Jesse and the whole crew, because this is something that needs to be nurtured and kept alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're pretty well aware of that. We've stopped at the other few places in my time that and I shared a little of that with you yesterday, the Bradfordville Blues Club and different places that were on the Chitlin circuit, and this is American treasure. These are American treasures, and this is something that can't get glossed over with all the social media and all the technology and all the direction things are going. This is what built what we hear today. So thank you for keeping it alive.
Thank you, Jake, for you recognizing it. And let me just say, as a musician, you feel it, and you can't deny that feeling when you come in. You can talk about it all you want, but when you walk in and you feel that, it always gives me goosebumps a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, and if you need a place for your record release, we're here. If you ever want to record live at a very loud sound, come here. And also we can take this thing on the road. I don't know. We can come meet you somewhere.
Awesome.
It's interesting. You all have done a wonderful job, and keep going.
Thank
Just
you.
like music, our world, where it goes up and it goes down.
Right. Absolutely.
It's remembering those ups when you're down here.
Yes.
And keep rolling. So thanks for
Thank
what
you.
y'all do.
Yeah.
Thank
all
you.
y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank
Jake
you.
Eckert, River Eckert.